I've got a simple idea. Let's give up on the Constitution. I know it sounds radical, but it's really not. Constitutional disobedience is as American as apple pie. For example, most of our greatest presidents, Jefferson, Lincoln, Wilson, and both Roosevelts, had doubts about the Constitution, and many of them disobeyed it when it got in their way.
Hold up. Actually, FDR is one of the worst presidents. Why is it that Franklin Delano Roosevelt gets lionized? I watched this. There was a CBS intro, by the way. CBS. It was an op-ed, or as an intro to a story. I watched this thing on the History Channel. They were going through all of the presidents, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the way that the History Channel, or the way that this program was discussing Franklin Delano Roosevelt as compared to Herbert Hoover. Because, see, Hoover, the economy was just circling the crapper, so to speak. Hoover didn't believe that the government should be paying for everything. He didn't believe in the entitlements. He didn't believe in all of that. He thought man should be steward of man, and government, you watch for security of the nation. And he was talked about in the most vile manner. It was such a biased piece. It was something I would never show students. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was they begrudgingly admitted how the Supreme Court smacked FDR upside the head, so to speak, and how he in turn went around to pack the court. And how Hoover was just getting slammed and with all of the problems with the economy and the Hoover villages and everything else. And here comes FDR. He's such an amazing man. And look what he did. He did a stimulus. He thought that he could just pay people to dig holes and fill them, and it would work. The economy would recover. And shockingly, it made the Depression last longer. How could this be? 5 + 4 = dolphin. What? How could it work that way? Democrats believe they have the power to suspend the rules of math. Conservatives know better. This biased program, I'm watching them lionize FDR. Oh, he's such an amazing man. Look, he provided jobs. He created the welfare system, and it was terrifying to watch this in history happen, because you could see the point at which the gimme mentality was injected into the DNA of the it was injected into the American psyche. Hoover was just he was just a jerk because he didn't believe in the big government subsidizing everything. FDR had 1 trillion members of staff. Government hiring increased exponentially. So many things wrong with that presidency. No, he was not one of the best. He was one of the worst. He's one of the best if you believe that people are not responsible for their own well-being, and that here you have government that should be able to do all of it. I started talking about that. Church, what was I talking about? I totally went off it just made me mad. That whole situation. Oh, the CBS and the Constitution. That's right. Well, FDR was one of the best. No, he actually wasn't. And see, the Constitution, suspending the Constitution, there's a lot of discussion about Lincoln and so on and so forth. But these individuals are talking about suspending the Constitution because they don't like the Second Amendment. Get over it. If you want to live in a country where you don't have the right to bear arms, move to Russia. And if they don't like what you have to say when you criticize their government, they'll just throw you in jail. I'm sorry, but too many members of my family shed blood to keep our rights. So I'm not interested in hearing someone who has absolutely zero knowledge about firearms lecture me about suspending my Constitution so they can get my Second Amendment. Not interested. But this is what I told you. This is what the media was going to do. They want to attack the Constitution. They're going to attack the founders. They're going to say that the Constitution was racist. except for the fact that the abolitionists made sure to purposefully keep room in the Constitution so that they could still form the country, because those who liked slavery didn't want to be part of the United States if slavery was going to be outlawed. So the Founding Fathers made sure that there was an abolitionist trigger in it, so to speak, so that slavery would be made illegal and men and women would be free. Everyone likes to write off the abolitionists. Everyone likes to write off people like Frederick Douglass. Everybody loves to write that stuff off because it doesn't fit into their narrative. They want to ignore all of that so they can focus on torpedoing the strength of the Constitution. They need your Second Amendment rights. And that's what this is about. The media is already, and I wanted to share with you this too. This absolutely sickened me and outraged me. MSNBC, those bastard scam artists, deliberately edited that tape of George Zimmerman, and they did it again. They've deceptively edited. You want to talk about deceptively edited? How many times have you heard that phrase thrown around at conservatives? Conservatives who simply edit a video for time constraints and then put the full video online. That's not deceptively edited, you idiots. No, I'm talking about they edited this video to make it sound like a man was heckling, that he was heckling this father of a Sandy Hook victim during his gun control testimony. And it isn't true. The full video, which is up on twitchy.com, and everyone ran with this story, by the way. Everyone ran with this story. This father, whose son was among the victims of Sandy Hook, he had actually he had said something about the Second Amendment. He said, I ask if there's anyone in this room that can give me one reason or challenge this question, why anyone in this room needs to have one of these assault-style weapons or military weapons or high-capacity clips. What the hell is a high-capacity clip? Not one person can answer that question. And the audience, a couple of people in the audience said the Second Amendment. And so they said that it was heckling. So the media, MSNBC, deceptively edited this video so that it sounds as though the audience members were yelling Second Amendment as he was talking about his son. And they ran with that video. MSNBC ran with it. All of these individuals were talking about this video. And they were calling these people heckling. He actually asked someone in the room, can you give me an answer as to why we have weapons? And the room answered. They are going to try, they don't care, they will use anyone they possibly can to go after your Second Amendment right. They're going to try to shred the Constitution, and they do this. Let me tell you something. I'm a parent. I am a mother. I'm a $1.25. I want to be able to have an equalizer if someone tries to come and harm me or my children. I love all these people who are totally all right with women on the front lines, but they'll be damned if you give a woman a gun to defend her family and her home. Please, you sexists. Nothing infuriates me more. I've been in a situation where I've had to protect my family. I have been in a situation where I needed my Second Amendment right. You going to tell me that I can't have it because some criminal stole guns in Connecticut? You want to make more victims? Because that's what you're doing. You're making more victims. Why the bloodlust, anti-gun grabbers? Why the bloodlust? You want to make more victims? I don't. And see, the difference between you and me is that I actually agree and want to protect life, both in and out of utero. Quick break, 866-455-9797. We have your phone calls when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
This is The Dana Show.